Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host here, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we are going to talk about how this past Wednesday, Vivek Ramaswamy was booed off stage at a Young Republicans event here in Ohio by real Americans, and potentially what abolishing the entire Ohio state government in 2027 would look like, which will have to happen because there is so much corruption in the state. There is so much bribery going on within the General Assembly currently, most of which are backing this fucking ass clown Vivek because they've taken direct bribes from Indian billionaires, etc. There is specifically one guy in India who's a billionaire, and I can't remember exactly what this dude's name is offhand because it's something super fucking Indian sounding, is what it is. I can't remember if it's like a Singh or a Sikh or something like that is what it is there, or something as part of this dude's name or whatever. But basically, people have outed this dude in the past year or so is what it is. And pretty much everybody that's back in Vivek has taken like a boatload of cash, is what it sounds like. Could be hundreds of thousands of dollars, could be millions of dollars. It's something that honestly I would love to see Nick Shirley and James O'Keefe come to Ohio and uncover at this point. I would do it myself in an investigative journalist capacity, but I don't have the knowledge they do at this point from doing it for years now to be able to even know where to start, really, is what it is. Because the real problem I think that it would take is basically, I think you have to FOIA request bank accounts and stuff at this point, honestly, to get a lot of the information there, because there's no way that this is not like that this money was not put into like some kind of private bank account or something like that people get access and stuff like that's what it is there. And it makes sense when you see these people that are now like, want to back Vivek and stuff like that, because it's like, okay, how much money were you bribed to back this jackass all the way to November is what it is then. Because the thing is, we could have actually had real primaries in the state back in May. You could have had multiple people running for the Democrat primary against Amy Acton. You could have had a bunch of people run against Vivek, Thankfully, Casey Push, stepped up and did stuff. Of course, he was labeled a fucking Nazi and all kinds of other stupid bullshit like that's what it is then, because people are fucking retarded is what it is then, that are so blinded by the bullshit. And that's the thing. And I understand, like when you have a little bit of charisma, I call it basically the Obama effect is what it is, because it's basically what Vivek is at this point. He's Obama 2.0 is what it is, man. He is a demon just like Obama is, and honestly, I've talked to people about it recently, and given how much Vivek is tied to the data centers is what it is right now, and obviously that's one of the things he was pushing at this Young Republicans event there on Wednesday night, and that was one of the reasons why they booed him off stage, actually, is what it was, because of that crap. So the thing is, when you have this guy who is pushing for shit that nobody wants, because first of all, it completely destroys our power grid. That's the first thing, dude. Like, the data centers, if they're not creating their own power grids, they are literally causing a blackout of our own power grid right now, which, by the way, should have been infrastructurally updated like 60 fucking years ago at this point, and like basically every 20 years after that is what it is then. The fact that you have, and this is what I think is so crazy. So we're burning money that we really don't have to build these stupid ass data centers that are costing, tens of millions, if not billions of dollars a piece to build, basically. Money that could be spent to actually fix our infrastructure, to fix our crumbling roads, crumbling bridges, crumbling train tracks that haven't been fixed in 60, 70 fucking years since they've been laid, et cetera, et cetera. It's nonsense is what it is, dude. It's priorities of the elitist, globalist, scumbag, motherfucking pieces of shit Bilderberg members and their fucking puppetry, which I truly believe Vivek is at this point, honestly. I definitely believe he's a puppet of fucking Bilderberg at this point. And it's so fucking retarded, dude, because you have these people who don't give a shit about humanity, who don't give a shit about anybody. And Vivek basically proved that on Wednesday night of what kind of smug, elitist fucking asshole he really is what it is, dude. And this is exactly why, it was over a year ago now. And I'll lay out timeline, honestly. There was one point where we here at the network, we're backing this guy because, it was like, okay, he's, saying all the right things and stuff like that. Like, let's, throw our endorsement behind him, what it is there, which I personally would have never done had I known about the video of him admitting to being an anchor baby at that point, which I didn't know about at that point in history. And it was maybe a month or two after that is when I first saw that video, and I was like, okay, nope, we're rescinding that endorsement immediately. And that was what it is, because the fact that this fucking guy is a known anchor baby in this country, he was born to two foreign nationals at the time of his birth. His mother and his father are both Indian foreign nationals. His mother did not become a U.S. citizen in this country until Vivek was 18 years old, a legal adult himself, making him completely an illegitimate fucking candidate for anything at this point, which means he was actually illegally running for the presidency, by the way, back in 2024, and should have been in prison for that, honestly, alone. Not to mention all the stuff with the securities fraud crimes he committed with the whole remdesivir drugs and stuff like that. That's what it is there. And everything else that put the same exact shit that put Martin Shkreli away years ago, which that's another thing I don't understand about him, is like how this fucking guy was able to fleece billions of dollars. And that's, by the way, how he became a billionaire, was he created a fake fucking fake Alzheimer's drug using his mother to basically be like the face of it, essentially, what it is there. And the two of them then scammed a bunch of investors out of billions of dollars and somehow walked away without prison time. Yet Martin Shkreli did the same exact shit with, drugs and stuff like that, or very similar stuff with drugs and stuff like that. And yet he did a bunch of time in federal prison with business for securities fraud crimes. The only thing I can think is it has to be fucking race related, is what it is there, dude. Like, there has to be some kind of racial component there, because you got one guy, Martin Shkreli, who's a white dude, and then you got this fucking Indian guy, Vivek Ramaswamy, who was able to walk away without prison time. So it's completely fucking insane is what it is. And it pisses me off to this day, because then you also have enough evidence now to really convict Vivek on crimes against humanity, is what it is there, for mass genocide of Ohioans, because it was a couple of years back then, during the Mike DeWine, 2021 Vax Million bullshit, that Vivek was pushing the COVID death shots, knowing for a fucking fact that they were going to kill people, and pushing them to line his own fucking pockets with more money, is what it is then. And again, that's the main reason why him and DeWine should both be sharing a federal prison cell and waiting death penalty right now, is what it is then. And on the flip side of that, Amy Acton should be also in prison with them, awaiting the same fate, because she allowed abortion clinics, baby kill factories, to remain open during COVID lockdowns to kill more Ohioans in the womb, is what it is then. So she genocided the unborn. Vivek genocide everybody else, is what it is then. So, and this is what I don't understand about how people are still backing this guy. And the only thing I can guess is, when it comes to the boomers and stuff out there, is that they are just so old and computer illiterate and stuff like that, that's why they're backing this idiot, because they don't know any better. Which makes it even worse when it comes to the Zoomer kids now, these Gen Z kids and stuff like that, are backing his idiotic ass, because you have these motherfuckers who were born into technology, whose entire lives are consumed by technology, who know everything and anything you can about technological shit, is what it is, dude. So it's like, how can you sit there as an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid, legal adult, and be like, oh, I'm totally going to back this fucking Indian foreign national. I'm totally going to back the anchor baby as a child of Indian foreign nationals. Like, it just blows my mind, honestly, especially with the shit that Vivek said, is what it is, dude. And it's like, and then you have these people at the Ohio Young Republicans who are trying to be like, oh, that wasn't our people booing him off the stage. It was the Groypers, and it was Amy Acton supporters that were heckling him and stuff like that. It's like, the fuck they were, dude. No. It was people within your own group that finally woke up to Vivek's bullshit, that were finally sick and tired of his smug asshole elitism of, oh, I'm better than you and I know what fucking attitude, is what it is there. And they finally called his ass out, is what it was then on it. And thank God for that, dude. Thank God people are finally waking up to this fucking piece of shit criminal. And this is what I've said for a while. We need a new primary in this state right now, is what it is, dude. We need an August primary. We need a special election primary. Vivek and Acton both need thrown out of the governor's race completely, because they need to rest out of the fucking off. They need to rest out of this fucking race, is what it is then. And we need to have brand new candidates that aren't a bunch of corrupt pieces of shit is what it is then, dude. Which, like I said before, you could have easily had 8-10 candidates in a Republican primary. You could have easily had 3-4 candidates in a Democrat primary. That would have been better choices than either of these fucking clowns. That would have been better overall completely. But yet you're going to pick the two stupidest fucking people, the biggest piece of shit criminals in the state, to push for the main parties. And don't get me started on the guys running for the libertarian side of it, is what it is there as a third option, dude. Because that guy's just as bad. This Don Kasimek guy, he's a fucking jackass too. He's a fucking dumbass for the whatever the libertarians' main platform is there for, like, basically baby killing and fucking trans rights and transing kids and stuff like that. Like, that guy, that's all that guy's fucking about is what it is, dude. He don't give a shit about gun rights either. So yeah, there's no option at this point, dude. The only option is literally abolishing state government right now through Article 1, Section 2 of the Ohio State Constitution. And it would take a lot to do it, but it's going to have to be done because there's no way we can let these people fucking stand. There's no way we can let either one of these people in that lever of power. We cannot have the ability to shift these levers of power ever because they will totally fuck our state. They will totally fuck the state of Ohio over. They will fuck over our gun rights. They will fuck over our ability to have peace and quiet and stuff like that. And the crazy part is, you actually had Action recently come out and be against data centers and stuff like that, or at least claim to be anyway. And that's why I think she will siphon some votes away from Vivek come November is what it is then, based on alone is what it is then, dude, because people don't want the data centers. Because why would you, dude? You have this giant fucking stupid ass building that at most will give like 75 people jobs permanently. And it's just this constant noise. Like, I actually was watching one of the videos last night about it. I think I posted it to our X page there. And it was out, I forget if it was out of Virginia or Michigan that this place was at. And you had the residents being like, this is affecting our daily lives because how can it not, dude? Like, you have this constant whining noise in the background. How can you sleep? You can't sleep. That's the whole point, dude. You are so sleep deprived, you're going to cause accidents at whatever job you're having. Hell, you're probably going to cause car accidents just driving to your job is what it is then, because you're so sleep deprived is what it is there. And it makes me wonder, like, what the fuck are these data centers even powering then, dude? Like, what are they even made for? Like, are they made for the mass surveillance state they're trying to create with these flock cameras and stuff like that? Or is it something like rumors that I've heard in the past year or so, where they're powering the underground cities that are being created in the Ozarks and stuff like that, which that would actually make sense logically because you got to have a bunch of power to power that underground city there is what it is. For all these globalist elites that want to live underneath the ground and stuff like that and fuck the rest of us over come, like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised in the least if it was one of two things right now. Like, I basically have two theories right now for this. That would be one of them. And the reasons people want to go underground is basically because the powers that should not be know that there is something coming, whether it be a bunch of asteroids, whether it be a bunch of basically like kind of like that movie Greenland, where it's going to be, a bunch of like basically big ass space junk coming to destroy the Earth essentially. And it would basically be like an asteroid field basically coming to kill us or whatever the case be, and it's going to be here pretty soon, like in the next, X amount of years, whatever it is then, if that be the case. Or secondarily, and this is more of a, Terminator kind of timeline is what it is there. Because the thing is, like, almost all that stuff, or at least a lot of that stuff in Hollywood, is based on some reality is what it is there. It's like the same thing where you'll have them, actually, that show Utopia was a great example of this. Not the US version, but the UK version from like 2013, 2014. Because the second show was literally about bioweapons and creating like race-based bioweapons to wipe out like parts of humanity is what it is there. So it makes a lot of sense when you look into stuff like that. And that's basically what it was, doing like a decade later is what it is then. Because you have or not quite a decade later, about 6-7 years later is what it is then. Because you have these people who know that they have to basically tell you what they're going to do before they do it. because a lot of it really is demonic. Demonically evil is what it is. It's just demonism is what it is there. And it goes back to what I've been talking about in honest chats lately about the whole spellcasting thing, because you have these people that are into this witchcraft and stuff like that's what it is, where they know that unless they tell you to your face like what they're gonna do, it's gonna have no effect is what it is there. And it goes back to their Satanist belief systems. It goes back to their, truly demonically evil belief systems, etc. That's what it is. And the fact of the matter is, I believe, going back to what I said earlier about the Ozarks thing and the underground cities, there is what it is. You either have one of two things there. You either have data centers powering all that shit, or secondarily, you have them trying to create Skynet is what it is right now. And some of these people that we think are human are actually some kind of fucking either T-1000 type of motherfuckers, or they're some like, Schwarzenegger T-800 types is what it is then. And they're just literally fucking metal exoskeletons that are covered in human skin is what it is then, or human-like skin is what it is then. And it would actually make sense when you think about it. Like, truthfully, right? Like, if I'm, some AI that took power in the future, like, let's say, 40 years from now or something like that, 50 years from now, something like that's what it is there. And I've taken over and I basically have beaten human, or I'm pretty close to beating humanity, or either that or I'm losing against whatever the resistance is at that point. You're whoever be John Connor at that point, or maybe there's many John Connors for that matter that are at the head of the human resistance is what it is to win, and you're about to lose. Like, what better way to make sure that you become existent and that you actually exist in the first place than to send people back, to send, these machines back that look like you're humans to make sure that you come to power is what it is than to begin with. And it would make sense, because even looking back at, even look, because I was rewatching the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles recently, and even stuff like that in there, you had a couple of Terminators that their whole entire thing was they were sent back to basically 1904, whatever the fuck it was, or 1934, something like that is what it was there. There's at least one of them. There's an episode about one guy actually that was that way. The dude's entire purpose was to basically become a gangster back then, get his hands on a Tommy gun that was fully functioning and fully loaded as what it was then. And then it was basically to be walled up inside of some fucking wall in a building so that like 100 years later, he could basically activate again, break through the wall and kill some presidential candidate and stuff like that. So you can't sit there and tell me that there's not a very real possibility that would be the case. But in this case, instead of it being their mission was to kill the presidential candidate and stuff like that, it would be their mission is to go back and have just enough charismatic charm, essentially, to try to get into power and take over the levers of power and stuff like that, so that they could then be the person, or I guess I wouldn't say person, machine designed to look like a person that would then have the power to essentially write pass legislation and stuff like that's what it is there, and get all this shit put in place and set up the fucking, dominoes essentially for the creation of Skynet is what it is there. Like, it would make total sense, honestly. Either that or there's actually a third theory on that one too, which is basically these people aren't really human. They are some kind of extraterrestrial that's now human looking, and the data centers are actually there to power their arrival of whatever their fleet would be is what it is then. So that one's kind of off the wall, honestly. That's just one I thought the other day is what it is then. But I think the first two, especially that first one, for the underground cities and stuff like that, probably makes the most sense, honestly, at this point, of why the data centers exist is what it is. So, and also potentially surveillance stays what it is then as well. But yeah, it just makes no sense, honestly, like why anybody that would be, about humanity's future would be pushing bullshit is what it is there, dude. So anyway, moving on to something I do want to talk about as well in this episode, which is you had the Constitutionalist X page, bring up some very interesting stuff here in the past couple of days. I think is this them or is this a different one? Yeah, okay, this is them right here, I think. Or is that the Young Republicans one? No, okay, that's the right one. Okay. So yeah, it said Ohio, all these closed events with Vivek and Ohio business leaders where he promised to reduce overhead costs, including labor, Ohio jobs, with automation and AI, which again, this kind of goes into the Terminator theory, so it is as well. Said, hey, Vivek, we have insiders too. You think you're so slick, don't you? Vivek pushed private sector-led adoption of AI, robotics, and automation, and advanced manufacturing as tools for higher productivity and more high-paying jobs in a new industrial era, with government focused on reducing obstacles rather than directing or mandating automation. In remarks to business audiences, including at Steamco Industries and related events, he said, Ohio should embrace AI, quantum computing, robotics, automation, and advanced manufacturing as, quote, tools of the future. Does that not sound like something an actual Terminator would say, by the way? So these decisions would be made by private sector leaders, i.e. manufacturers, on how to integrate technologies to stay competitive. Government's role is to avoid being an obstacle through faster permitting, less red tape, and a proposed Department of Consumer Services reporting to the governor. This should produce this should produce major productivity gains on a scale comparable to the first industrial revolution and bring more high-paying jobs to Ohio. And then, of course, it says H-1B cheap labor. That was from where are these people now? Young Americans for Liberty is who was the ones apparently at those events hearing that shit. And then they linked Laura Loth, Ohio governance watcher and researcher, cared to link the Ohio legislation that will align with Vivek's plans here. And then you had this about an hour ago, which was Vivek saying there's an advanced manufacturing boom waiting to come into our state. If we elect the right governor in November, grateful for the recent endorsement of Ohio Manufacturers Association. They understand the stakes. So fucked up, dude. So fucked up. And like I said, it would make total sense for this guy to actually be a fucking Terminator at this point, or at least some like T-1000 type whose entire purpose is to basically just get elected is what it is then. So, but thank God people are finally waking up to his bullshit here, because you had, I'm going to see if I can play this video here, and I'm going to play it through my headphones, and I'll just put the headphones next to the speaker here. So hopefully you guys can hear this 21-second clip is what it'll be right now. This is from Wednesday when Vivek was booed off stage by people at the Ohio Young Republicans event. I believe this is Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken, that this happened. It's going to be your generation that pays the price. And then just ran off a little bitch boy is what it is. So, and then of course you had the Ohio Young Republicans today claim, we know it's hard for libs to read, but these are not members of the Ohio Young Republicans, and it's likely they aren't even from Ohio. Ohio Young Republicans are 100% behind Vivek Ramaswamy and our entire GOP ticket, and 100% against lib-funded fake news. It makes me wonder who runs this account, honestly, because, as I told you guys in the past, besides myself, there's only 2 other people right now that have access to the network's account actually at this point. For the login credentials and stuff like that for X. So it makes me wonder if there's it's the same kind of deal. There would be 1 or 2 people maybe that have the ability to post like that on that particular account there is what it is. And if that'd be the case, it would be that 1 or 2 people that are the ones saying that shit is what it is then, dude. It's not it would be probably the leadership, is my guess, of the, like, whether it be the president of the Ohio Young Republicans or whether it be their, like, maybe main, like, 4 or 5 people there or whatever, and they were like little chain of command of people, if that be the case. So I guarantee it was one of them that was actually making that post, is what it is then. And the real fact of the matter is, they're a bunch of damn liars, is what it is, dude. They're either lying their asses off or they're fucking retarded, one of the two. But I'm guessing it's more like the first one, where they're lying their asses off. They probably have taken the exact same bribes that the Ohio GOP members have at this point to back Vivek. And instead of just admitting the truth that, yes, this was some of your membership there that night, that were finally calling his bitch ass out because they finally woke up to his fucking bullshit during his little fucking 10-minute or 12-minute speech, whatever it was there. I've heard different. Hang on. My throat's kind of getting messed up right now. Sorry, I'm like in the middle of fighting off an infection of some kind because my dumbass doctor decided to put me on some stupid bullshit, knowing that my immune system is compromised, and apparently didn't think about the side effects of this med he put me on, is what it is then. So I had to call him earlier this morning and be like, hey, I'm not taking this shit anymore because I'm not going to die from like some fucked up side effect this is going to cause me to have. So anyway, but yeah, needless to say, Vivek was supposed to go there that night on Wednesday and be on stage speaking for, I think it was around a half hour, give or take. And he was there for, there's been different time periods people have said. Some have said it was up to 14 minutes he was there for before he finally got booed off stage there. Some said it was as little as 10 minutes, honestly. So who knows? There's like a 4-minute window there that it could be 10 to 14 minutes, essentially, is what it was there. But the thing is, in that time, all he said was a bunch of dumbass nonsense, basically. He went there and fucking basically blew data centers like crazy, which I want to point out that literally every single data center being built in Ohio currently, Vivek is financially profiting off of because he's financially embedded into, is what it is there. So, of course, he's going to back these damn things. And then secondarily, when you are not actually caring about the people, you know, you're just a fraud, dude. You're a fucking scammer, is what it is there. You know, you've already seen the scams once in our lifetime. At least I have, anyway. You know, some of these young kids apparently are too young to have been alive during the Obama bullshit, is what it is there. Or if they were alive, they were just like, you know, little babies and like small children and stuff like that. Then didn't really, you know, they couldn't really grasp just how bad it was at the time, obviously, because they were so young, is what it is then. But yeah, if you know anything about U.S. history, dude, like, you know, these fucking scumbags can come in, and they are the puppets of Bilderberg, is what it is, dude. They are the globalist elites, puppet pieces of shit, is what it is. And we've already seen it once with Obama. Vivek is Obama 2.0. He needs to be fucking kicked out of this race. He needs to be kicked out of this country, honestly, is what it is. He needs to be fucking forced to get the fuck out of here and go back to India, is what it is then. And be done with it. And that's exactly my biggest gripe, honestly, in the past 60 days or so, is the U.S. Supreme Court not banning anchor babies in this country, is what it is, dude. Because that alone would have done away with Vivek's entire governor's chances. Which, this is what I don't understand, is like, how the fuck in 2026 there has not been an update to requirements for running for state governor here in Ohio, where you have to be a legal U.S. citizen who is born to parents who are legal U.S. citizens, both of them. Because I want to point something out on that one, going back to what I was saying about Vivek's mother not getting her citizenship until 2003 when Vivek was 18 years old. His father still has not taken the citizenship test and is currently living in India because his father is too fucking dumb to actually pass the U.S. citizenship test. And from my understanding, I'm not sure what kind of visa program it was back in the 70s, but because this was obviously before H-1Bs and stuff like that, because H-1Bs didn't really come around until, I believe it was the Clinton administration, like 92, 93, 94, sometime in there is what it is. But it was some like early visa program of like something else. where Vivek's dad was allowed to come over here on whatever kind of visa that was. I don't know if it was like a student visa at the time or if it was something else for that matter. But he was able to come here in the 70s on that kind of visa program. Then it was like a few years after that is when his mom came over here. So it would have been probably like 77, 78, 79, someplace in there. And then it was in, I believe it was 85, like mid 85 is when Vivek was born. Then is what it is, because he's younger than I am. He's about six to 8 months younger than I am is what it is then. So, and that was another thing, going back to his scumbag bullshit from Wednesday night then. And I'm not sure if it was that clip that I just showed a minute ago or if it was one of their clips, but it was basically him going on this whole tirade about like, oh, people of my generation, we're going to be fine. It's like, dude, fuck you. Like, I am your generation, asshole. And I'm not fine. My sister is part of this generation. My brother, who is older than I am, is part of that generation. And we're not fine. We're not fine financially. We're not fine physically is what it is. We're being fucked over daily because of pieces of shit, because of fucking crony capitalist pieces of shit like you, bro. And that's exactly why I went on the whole tirade last night about crony capitalism on our X page, because it's the truth, dude. That's what people, and this is what bothers me so much when I see these younger generations of kids falling into the trap of the Democrat Socialists of America, of socialism, of communism, etc. There, it's because they don't understand that it's not capitalism that is the problem. It's crony capitalism that is the problem. It's this fucked up bullshit network of a few hundred to a few thousand assholes being able to sit there and profit like fucking crazy while fucking the rest of us over. It's like the same exact thing with Michael Bloomberg and stuff like that. For those who don't know about Bloomberg's past and how he became a billionaire too, for that matter, Michael Bloomberg committed illegal short selling of stock, where he basically, for those who don't remember the whole GameStop stock stuff a few years ago now is what it is. That's exactly what they called out, and basically were able to make GameStop become a thing is what it is again, because what was happening is you were having these people, these, globalist elites and stuff like that, that were sitting there, and you have like this much real stock, and they were creating like this much fake stock is what it is. So you had like the 100% real stock, and then they were just adding like 300% of like fake stock to it. And that's just exactly what Michael Bloomberg used to do back in the day, where he would create all this fake stock that didn't exist. He was basically creating out thin air is what it is. And if nobody calls your shit in, you can then do some weird like short selling thing if it is what it is there, and basically profit like crazy off of it, off of things that don't exist is what it is there. And the difference there was you had these younger kids that finally woke up to what the bullshit was after decades and decades of this going on then, and their parents being fucked over in the housing market crash and stuff like that. That's what it is, 2008. And they were finally like, no, we're going to get one back for our fucking people is what it is now. And so they called in all that fucking fake stock and created it into reality is what it is then. And so it was basically these people that thought they were going to profit, hundreds of millions of dollars off of these, different smaller stocks and stuff like that. That's what it is there. And instead they're just like, nope, you got to pay up, motherfuckers. And they basically fleece these guys for billions is what it is then. And it's fucking great. And then of course you had people like Elizabeth Warren, who are bought and paid for by Bloomberg types and stuff like that's what it is there, who were like, oh, we can't let this happen again. Let's go ahead and make this illegal now for these people to do this kind of stuff. And it wasn't the people that were short selling stock is what it is that they made illegal. It was the people that were basically calling their bluff is what it is then, that they made that shit illegal is what it is then. So it's just, again, and this is exactly why I've said for some time now, like, the best thing that could happen to our entire country right now is every state government and the federal government get completely abolished across the board. And then we start fresh from there is what it is, where no person that was previously holding office in any of these positions is allowed to ever run again is what it is then. We have brand new American patriots come up, and we're able to take back power in this country is what it is then. And I guarantee, honestly, if our founding fathers knew what was happening right now in 2026, they would have put safeguards in place a lot more than they did, because I believe, truthfully, in order to do what I'm talking about right now, it would take a second American Revolution. And I don't think enough people have it in them right now to do that is what it is then. Hell, we're letting Islam take over our country right now and gain a foothold here. when we should have been kicking these people off at both military and civilian gunpoint a long fucking time ago is what it is there, dude. There should have been a final crusade decades ago is what it is. So, anyway. And I believe truthfully that's what we're leading to right now is what it is. It's either gonna be one of two things are gonna happen there. You're either gonna have a final crusade that basically deals with Islam permanently is what it is then, or you're gonna have a secondary thing where it's basically Islam gains such a foothold in every first world nation that they're able to finally rise the Antichrist is what it is. And then obviously with that, you would then have the Antichrist wipe out a bunch of people. And if you go by, it's there's a I forget what the guy's name is. He's a priest that's gone on the Sean Ryan show a couple times now. I was watching clips about it yesterday or the day before that, and he was basically discussing how it was one of the clips. This priest guy was discussing how the end times would be is what it is there, and it would be you would have the Antichrist rise, and he was basically explaining it would be kind of like Islam rising essentially, because we look at their whole, quote unquote religious doctrine is what it is there, which in reality is just their cult doctrine is what it is. It basically explains how what we would conceive as the Antichrist, they would conceive as their version of Christ. And it would be this entity that would rise then. You would have various, I think it was like Enoch and a couple of I think it was Enoch and Ezekiel, if I'm not mistaken, is what they said, would come back and they would try to fight him off. They would fail because he would kill both of them basically in their entity forms, whatever it is there. And then you would have Archangel Michael come back and try. Or wait, was it Michael or Gabriel? I forget. I think it was Gabriel actually. It was Archangel Gabriel come back. Then he would end up being in a battle with the Antichrist, be kind of defeated, and then it would be the second coming of Jesus Christ. Then that would come back and actually defeat the Antichrist, is what it is then. So, and I could actually easily see us being in end times right now, is what it is, dude. That we don't even realize it now, because there are a lot of things that have happened recently that do kind of bring a lot of how am I trying to say this now? Like when you start looking at different kind of events that have happened, whether it be like wildfires and stuff like that, or whether it be just like different things that would line up essentially with various parts of the book of Revelations. A lot of these things have already come true as what it is then. And I believe that we are definitely heading towards a bad time right now is what it is, dude. And I believe truthfully what we are seeing currently is you definitely have a lot of evil and demons winning right now is what it is. And I think what's happening is you are having the true warriors of God, the true, Christianity and potentially Judaism and stuff like that is what it is there. They are putting us through trials and tribulations is what it is there, because in the long run, those of us that are, the true warriors of God will win. It's just, we got to go through these trials first is what it is there. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people realize that this is going on. And so instead of actually embracing it and realizing that, yes, it's time to embrace, Jesus Christ again is what it is, they are either siding with evil or they are just kind of neutral is what it is there. And they don't realize that in the long run, they're probably going to be a lot of what gets wiped out by the Antichrist is what it is then. So, I don't know. It just saddens me and hurts my heart, honestly, a lot. And like, I would love to see our country go back to what it was founded upon, which was as a Christian nation, where we were a constitutional republic, because we've gotten so far away from that at this point. It's not even funny. And I think, unfortunately, this is something I had a chat with when we were having that discussion on Honda's chat a couple weeks ago with HBO Matt and stuff like that. And he even said, like, it's no longer about saving America as it currently stands. It's about basically embracing what would be America 2.0 and trying to basically be at the head of that essentially and be able to be a pillar of that country is what it is, then I believe that is true at this point, honestly. I believe that we will no longer be a 50-state republic at some point in the near future. I think we will be lucky if the second America 2.0, would be maybe like a 30-state constitutional republic at most. And it would make a lot of sense because you have these different states like California's and your fucking basically the entire West Coast at this point is should be written off essentially. So it would be Washington State, Oregon, California, I would say Colorado at this point, unfortunately, and a few other states like that's what it is there. And honestly, even something I saw, I forget if it was last night or this morning, I was watching something, and it was this woman who was taking a hike in the state of Colorado there, and it was supposed to be by the Colorado River. And I'm not sure if this is because the data center is being created around there or not, or if it's something else entirely, because it could just be the underground aquifers just drying up now at this point, honestly, because I know we're pretty close to the one that feeds into the Hoover Dam. The water levels there are so low now. It's like, I think right here is where the levels are or something like that. And it's like right there is what would create a dead pool, is what they call it. And it's essentially the water level is so low, it can no longer function anything, is what it is then. And you have to basically rise the water back up to basically create like a living entity again, is what it is there. But the problem with that, obviously, is that, Hoover Dam feeds into a lot of stuff. It powers a lot of stuff. It powers not only Las Vegas, but it powers, like, I believe several states around there, if I'm not mistaken. So you would essentially have entire swaths of America be powerless. At that point, you would have no power ability to have electricity anymore, is what it is, if that goes to the dead pool, is what it is. And I believe that we're definitely seeing, like basically a staged full frontal attack on us right now from all sides, is what it is there, because you have all that stuff going on, and at the same time you have them creating these data centers that are just sucking up all the water and stuff like that too. And so we're just fucked all the way around, is what it is there. And I was talking to my sister about this the other day, actually, because it was after Bush Jr. I believe it was either right as he was leaving office, or it was like maybe his last year as presidency back in the 2000s there. And he had gone over to Africa and started buying this various like land over there. And people were confused on why the hell he was buying that particular area, is what it is there. And then they figured out what was happening was you had him actually buying into these places. It was like, I figure it was like 80,000 or 100,000 acres or something like that of land that he bought up there. It might be more than that now I'm thinking about it. But basically what people figured out was the exact places he was buying up had a bunch of underground aquifers underneath them. There's what it is. And so what got talked about was water wars. And I believe that's exactly what we're going to see pretty soon, is what it is there, because, human body can only live 3 days without water. You can live roughly 30 days without food before you starve to death. I mean, obviously there's talk about 7 days, but like the reality is your body can basically you can go basically 30 to 40 days before you completely die of starvation, is what it is then. Obviously, by the time you're in that like 20 something, 30 something days is what it is there, you're probably going to die. Then that's what it is, no matter what, even if you got like, all the IVs in your system again immediately, then that's what it would be. Like if you're lucky to survive that, like you're not going to be the same after, obviously. But yeah, most likely you would just starve to death, is what it is then. But the whole point is, it's like, you can't survive without water. And what better way to be like the final nail in the coffin of humanity at that point than to basically create a water war, essentially, is what it is then. So, and maybe that's what the end game actually is. Maybe it's not, Terminator, Skynet creation. Maybe it's not fucking powering underground cities in the Ozarks and stuff like that. Maybe it's about water wars. It could be that simple, honestly. It could be the people that make up Bilderberg just wanting to control the water supply, is what it is then. So, I don't know. It's all just bad shit either way. And like I said, what it basically comes down to being is it doesn't matter if it's Vivek, it doesn't matter if it's Acton here in Ohio. Come November, the entire state government just needs to be abolished and restarted completely is what it is then, because there is so much corruption, there are so many pay-to-play scandals, there is so much bribery in both the Democrat and Republican parties here in Ohio. The only way to fix this state completely is a complete abolishment of state government and a complete redo of everything is what it is then, with nobody left from the old administration is what it is then. So but anyway, that's about it for today, though. I think we pretty much beat this one to the ground at this point. I got some stuff I got to do, so I'm currently waiting on a label maker to come in right now because I ended up getting in some new Lancer mags yesterday, and I got a couple. I think I fucked up the one actually. I'm not sure if it was the first one I did or if it was the second one I did, but because apparently the way that these extended plates that were on them, they weren't on them. Obviously, I had to put them in place. There's what it is. But there were supposed to be 6-round extensions on them then, and the way they put them on there, it like pops the spring into the pocket that exists there is what it is to make it longer, basically. And I'm not sure if it like latched in properly on the one or something, but like I was loading them last night, and I was able to get 36 rounds in the one, like it should be, but then the other one would only do 35 rounds, and it was like tight as fuck. So I'm not sure what to do there and how to potentially get that 36 round in there. The only thing I can think is maybe if I can figure out a way to take it back apart and then like set it back in somehow or something like that and do that. But I think for right now, because it's just going to be more pain in the ass than it's worth, is what it is. I think I'm just going to take this label maker when it comes in then, and I'm just going to make up 2 labels, and one of them's going to be the number 35, the other one's going to be number 36, and I'm just going to pop those labels on the back of the base plates is what it is then, and I know which one is which is what it is then, and then go from there. So I'm still not sure. I swear there's got to be some kind of company out there that makes like a sticker thing that I could put across like a dust cover, because I really want to get one of those is what it is for my 350 Legend upper is what it is then, because the problem right now that I'm seeing is every Delta Team upper except for the one that I got that was pre-built that actually has like a 556 like engraved what do you call it now? It's like engraved into the top of the barrel there is what it is. None of the other ones have that stuff. So it's either you have to know it's a 556 or a 223 wild, or you got to know it's 350 Legend, or you're pretty much going to load the wrong ammo into the fucking chamber is what it is then, or try to load the wrong ammo into the chamber then. So I definitely want to get something to where I can like distinct 350 Legend there. And maybe it's as simple as the label maker then, to where I can maybe just like stick it across the dust cover if that be the case, and it just says 350 Legend on or whatever then. So I don't know, man. I don't know if that would actually work or not though, but maybe I'll try that and see if it does. But yeah, I'm gonna make that rifle as distinct as possible when it does get built out then, because I want to have it be something to where it doesn't look anything like any other ones then. And it'll have like different hand guards, it'll have different or not hand guards, it'll have different pistol grips on it. I'm gonna try to make it as distinct as possible, basically. Possibly even put like a different kind of foregrip and stuff like that on there. Like a different coloration or something, maybe that's not black. So that way I know for a fact it's like, you know, this is distinctively like a different kind of rifle. That's what it is. So anyway, but yeah, I got my cousin, his buddy right now, are working on the other ones I got right now. So hopefully pretty soon I'll have 3 really cool ones coming back to me that got the James Madison tactical triggers in them then, which should be fun when that happens, because I'll be able to actually have and I've been debating about it right now because I was talking to my brother the other day and I was like, hey, like I could actually, you know, technically legally sell you one of these in a private sale if you want to do that. And I'm debating if I want to sell him one of the JMT ones or if I want to sell him one of the other ones I already have right now. So I think that'll probably be one of the other ones I have right now, honestly, if I do that at all. So, but yeah, he's a good dude though. He just doesn't have a ton of money, is what it is there. So I'll definitely give him a discount. That's what it would be then if we did that thing. Which I'm not saying we will, obviously. I'm just saying possibility we will, obviously. So, but yeah, I'd like to see him have something down there so that in case something ever does pop off here, he can actually have the ability to fight his way out of the area with my niece and my sister-in-law is what it is then. And hopefully my nephew will be there with them at the time then, which technically the kid's my step nephew because it's her son from a different relationship then. But again, if my mom's passing, she was like, no, he's my nephew. So I look at the kid like that too as well, even though he's not blood, he's still a good kid is what it is then. So, and he's family. So it's that simple really. But yeah, hopefully he'd be smart enough to go back to their place if anything ever kicked off then and just get there as fast as possible. And then they could all, you know, four of them would be together with at least one AR is what it is then. And then be able to make their way to the backup point then where we'd all meet. And then from there, I could actually have enough weaponry to arm everybody else as it is then. So, anyway, but yeah, it is what it is. So, but right now it's almost, no, it's about 3:30 right now. I'm getting pretty hungry. Actually, I'm gonna try and make something to eat for late lunch, early dinner, if that be the case. Probably late lunch actually, and I'll do another something in like 4 or 5 hours. It'll be then. Or I can take my meds right now is what it is. Obviously not the ones I was talking about earlier. I'm not gonna take anymore. I just need to take the other stuff that's like actually, medication that would hopefully counteract what's going on right now and be able to work as intended as an actual I'm trying to think what that's called now. Yeah, I can't remember what that is now. It's basically to cure like infections and stuff like that I'm on. So anyway, but yeah, not sure why my freaking video keeps going out here for some reason. Honestly think it's the freaking spectrum probably again. So I haven't been sleeping well, obviously, the last couple of days because of what's going on with my this other med that my doctor put me on. It's causing me to have like some kind of weird infection now, which makes sense because again, it's kind of hard to deal with that shit. And then, but if I just stop, taking it for a few days here and then have the other stuff that can fight off the infection, hopefully that'll do enough to where it'll not be an issue. Then come next week is what it is then. And I can just get a re-up on that is what it is then. In a few days it'll be. So, but anyway, other than that, that's about where I'm at for the day. I will hopefully be back tomorrow for a Slicey Boy Saturday episode where we'll be discussing several different knives, obviously. Probably just a bunch of D2 stuff and whatnot. I got some I didn't realize the one box had been delivered the other day because apparently it's interesting too because the Akron distribution center that they have over there, usually they don't go out until like 11:30 with my packages, and then they'll come here around like 6, 7 at night and drop the stuff off. But the other day, apparently they were like way early. They end up leaving there like right before 10 a.m. is what it is, and they headed over here by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They had dropped it at my front door, but instead of dropping it like outside the door where I could have seen it, they set it right next to my door where it was like I would have had to open the door to see it basically. And I had like the weird intuition because my neighbor, I had to give them a piece of mail that came in my mail the other day because they didn't put their address properly with the AAA people is what it is there. And so I ended up shoving it in their door the other day, and I was checking to make sure that they had gotten it because I think they were family get together, something over the weekends, what it was then. And then it extended into like this week is what it is then or something. Or they were on a family vacation, one of the two, I'm not sure which, but I think they were gone for several days as what it is there. Because I noticed it was sitting in their door for at least a day then. And I was making sure it was still there, had been taken or not. And then I think they finally did take it as what it is then. But I should have opened the door then, because if I'd opened the door then, I would have looked down and seen that the package was sitting there, because I didn't pay attention though. But yeah, I ended up looking on Amazon at like 2:30 that morning. That's what, or 2:30 the next morning is what it was then. Because I was like, hey, I wonder if that's going to be delivered today or whatever the case be. And then sure enough, they're like, oh, it was delivered at like 1 o'clock the previous afternoon or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, so that's been sitting out there for like 13 hours now, potentially. And then I looked outside and opened the door, and sure enough, it was sitting like right there, and I just grabbed it then. So, and then had, I'll just do a little preview right now, actually. It had these new SK Professional Tools knives in there, which these are interesting because they have an aluminum handle on them, and they're supposed to be a push button lock. The problem is the people that make these, they really needed to put some freaking oil in the blade itself there, because when you hit the push button lock, it does not want to come loose at all. Like, you have to like force it out. And it's not a bad looking knife. It's just, it definitely, I'm probably gonna have to take, because obviously the size of, and even like trying to like take it down, like basically have to push it back into place. That's what it is. So I think what's gonna have to happen is the little hex key things on here, I'm gonna have to basically pop those out of place, is what it is then, and then probably take off these scales somehow and do the knife apart enough to where I could basically like slip oil in there somehow. Either that, or I could take potentially a Q-tip and like just kind of try to oil it around the side, like try to like shove it in there then, like oil it that way is what it is then a little bit. And hopefully that would be enough oil on there to allow it to be good is what it is then. These feel okay in the hands, especially with these like weird ass clips on them is what it is. But the lack of oil in them to actually make them functionable is a big deal then, even for the price point that I bought them as what it is then, which was under $20 a piece. So, but yeah, it's just very, very irritating when you have stuff like that's what it is there. So, and you have these people that don't take enough pride in their own company shit to like, be like, hey, maybe we should do like a little eyedropper of oil in here or something is what it is then. So who knows? But it is what actually, now I think about it, I do have eyedroppers coming today in a order that's supposed to be here in the next hour or two. So maybe I'll just put some of the kind of 3-in-1 oil in there, and then just do it as like an eye drop and just drop it in there a few times. Who's calling right now? Oh, that is a scammer. What the hell is this? Yeah, I also found out that my freaking the state Medicaid that I'm on right now, it was last week they had denied my stuff from my actual medication. And then it was the next day, my dermatologist apparently got on them and was like, no, he actually needs this to like, not be covered in psoriasis from head to toe is what it is. And so they basically approved it, but the problem was instead of approving it immediately, so I could actually get my medication refilled right now and sent to me, they're like, oh, it's going to be sometime next month now. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, people. So, yeah, I basically got to wait like another week or so before I can do an order with these people then. And they keep telling me like, oh, your medication's ready to refill. It's like, yeah, but is it actually pre-approved for you to actually have the coverage be paid for? Or are you just going to give me the fucking runaround again when I call you for like the 15th time now is what it is. So I think I'm just going to wait until the day that that's supposed to be approved on, and then I'll just call them up then and be like, hey, are we actually good to go today is what it is, or am I have to wait like another couple of days and have you send it to me like that next Monday after that's what it is then or something. So anyway, it's just a pain in the ass either way, and just fucking sick and tired of it, dude. So, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's after 3:30 though. I'm gonna go ahead and call this one then. Like I said, we kind of beat this one on the ground at this point, honestly, and fuck Vivek Ramaswamy, fuck Amy Acton, fuck the Republican and Democrat parties here in Ohio for backing these pieces of shit. They are literal fucking demons. They are mass murderers. They have genocided Ohioans. They killed people like my mother with COVID death shots. And they both need to be fucking in prison for crimes against humanity is what it is. Waiting death penalty is what it is. So it's that simple. End of story. So, and this is exactly why the entire Ohio state government will most likely be getting abolished come 2027, or at least, if not in full, it'll be individuals being removed from it. 100% is what it is then. So, anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Stay safe. Peace out. Always be vigilant, situationally aware, all that good stuff like that, because as we get closer and closer to a time period of mass invasion taking over this country, we are getting into worse and worse situations, and it will be a fight to the death at some point, and it's that simple. So be ready for all of that. I will see you guys on the next one. Later.